tonight. We're going to start our meeting. I would like to call the regular meeting of February 3rd to order. Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No, that's right.
Roll call, please.
Allen. Here. Darnell.
Here.
De Palma.
Here.
Cordella.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Rumble.
Here.
Thurman.
Here. The clerk would like us to amend the correspondence item and add item G, BGYA invitation. And that was just given to you.
Okay.
Are there any other amendments that we need to do to our agenda tonight? Okay, would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
And that was you, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a motion by Clerk Allen, and it is seconded by Trustee Cordella to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The agenda has been approved as amended unanimously. So we can move on to our reports. We have our monthly treasury report. Our general ledger report came to us via email since we had technical difficulty with our copy machine this week. We also have a designated report, a reconciliation report, a building department report. Did that get put in here? Yes, it did. Okay. And for our recreation report tonight, we have our Parks and Rec director. He's going to give us a verbal report.
I believe it's February already. Crazy. Felt like spring today. Real quick, as far as active programs going on during the month of January and February, we have Pee Wee Sports Camp, Youth Sports Camp, Youth Girls Volleyball 5th through 8th grade, Boys Jet Basketball 4th through 6th grade. We have a co-ed hitting camp for 3rd graders, Intro to Basketball for K through 3rd grade. We have adult basketball, women's volleyball, co-ed adult volleyball, and Brandon wrestling. So that's all going on right now. We're very busy. We're taking early bird registration currently as well for baseball and soccer. So people out there can save $10 if they get signed up early. It's a lot of work to get the schedules, the umpires, and all that. So we try to get these registrations in before spring even gets here. The daddy-daughter dance and the mother-son date night is almost sold out already. Some good marketing techniques and with Facebook and things like that, we really got the word out. We are sponsored by Bullfrogs. They're going to, for the drawing for the dinners, they're going to just feed them. And that's for both dances. We also have Genesis Credit Union, sponsored $700 to pay for the photo booths, and Hills Decor and Lifestyle is sponsored $100 to help with the advertising, and we're going to promote their business for the flowers that a lot of the dads buy. And I attended a conference last week, very busy. Kara was down there with me as well. Some of the classes I took was playground safety course, and they highly recommend, and I know we talked about it before, that one of my employees or myself get certified, and so I got some information on that as well. And then another course is making your park environmentally safe, and what we talked about the master plan as well, and I mentioned a little bit about this to Kathy, but there was one part in there that we might want to consider amending, or in the 5 years, that if you ever had a hazardous spill out at the park, what are you going to do? Kind of things like that. So I was going to get with Chief Coapas, and maybe I downloaded some ideas, but maybe we should come up with something to put in our master plan for those kind of things. The big thing was the DNR. All day, 3 classes with the DNR. They really are impressed with our park, and they came right up to me. I didn't go to them. The president of the board came up to me and said, "Fred, how's things going? How's that park going?" So I had some really good communication with 3 different classes. And the big question I know everybody's asking about or wondering about, are we going to get that extension? And because I took Mary Carlock off to the side, I said, really, my park subcommittees needs to know, and my board needs to know what's our chances. And she goes, she has the federal government personnel at the DNR office working on it. And she goes, we do a few of them, and she put the word in secretly. So, because...
Not anymore, Fred.
Yeah. I know I spilled the beans. But I got an answer to you guys. But anyways, so that's in the works, and we should be hearing something in a couple weeks. Other than that, that's all I have.
All right.
Okay, any questions?
Thank you, Fred.
No? Right.
All right, next we have an Edna Burton Senior Center report. Our Senior Center coordinator is here. Did you want to add anything to the report? No? Okay, we're good on that. And then we have our CDBG report and our fire department report, and the fire chief is here to go over the highlights, right? Okay.
Still got it. Good evening. So for the year, we ended up on the highest call volume that we've had to date, 1,367 alarms. Of those alarms, we transported 712 patients. You can see the breakdown. Obviously, if you look at the graph, the highest that we transport to most often is St. Joe's, Genesis, Clarkston Emergency Center, and McLaren, Oakland. And then we've been everywhere else, as you can see. So the different medical types are listed if you have any questions on that, and the different types of incidents. I don't want to keep you too long. Anybody have any questions? Short and sweet. All right.
You're done?
That was the quickest hour ever.
How are your new employees working out that got hired this year?
That hired last year?
Last year.
They've done very, very well. We did have a change in one of the staff members. Decided he wanted a bigger atmosphere to play in, if you will. So he made that switch, and we had somebody else that filled his spot. And right now, everybody is happy and content. I'm glad you caught that. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, next are the trustees' reports. And we'll start down with Jason tonight.
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
Okay, Dana?
No, my subcommittees didn't meet, so I don't have anything from there and nothing else.
Okay. Bob?
Nothing. I'll let you handle the roads.
Okay. And Mr. Cordella?
The planning commission did meet on the 28th, I believe it was, of January, and you folks have got, it is on new business, on what we have, we're proposing to you board members. The meeting went very well, and the decision to keep Donna Ferrara on that commission paid off already, because Mr. Luathian wasn't there. He was on vacation, and she stepped in, ran the meeting flawlessly, and did her usual impeccable due diligence on the thing. Visited the property in question on Granger Road, and ran a great meeting. So it was a good decision, and just want to congratulate you people for that. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we move to the is it Treasury or Treasurer?
Treasurer's report, right.
Treasurer's report.
Okay, so here we are in February, yay. Winter taxes are due by the 14th. Nobody forgets that, it's Valentine's Day. I did not set it up. Please buy your candy before you come in. After that time, there'll be a 3% penalty added onto the taxes. Our office can accept both summer and winter 2019 taxes here in the office until the 28th. After that time, the payments have to go to Oakland County. Make sure if you are sending your payments to Oakland County that you make it out to Oakland County, not Brandon Township. The township starts the balancing process to the state of Michigan as of March 1st. So we can't make any dollar changes at that time. That's why Oakland County takes it over. We still have dog tags available. Make sure that you remember to bring in your certificate of rabies when purchasing your dog tags. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Clerk's report.
Oh, it's only one page tonight. Welcome, everybody, for coming. Like to see all the chairs filled. To date, we mailed out 649 ballots for the upcoming special presidential primary election, which is on March 10th. So just a little over a month away. There are 24 different ballot styles that that you all get to pick from, that we assign to you, according to where you live and if you're in Brandon schools or Oxford schools. Or, if you're interested in working on the election, just contact our department. We'll get you an application for any upcoming or the one in March. We will be getting quotes for new windows and doors at our senior center through CDBG funds. And I'll have bids to bring back to this board March's meeting. And the Brandon Township Election Commission will be meeting tomorrow, February 4th at 2 o'clock right here in the room to approve the October 2nd, 2019 minutes, appoint election workers, and schedule the public accuracy test. And anyone wanting to run for an elected position, the packets are available in the clerk's office. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, as far as the supervisor's report, I received an estimate on fixing the sidewalk along East Glass Road, and I'm looking for 2 more estimates. The one I got, though, was only for fixing cracks. It wasn't for replacing any cement. So we're not going to be able to get that work done till the weather cooperates better anyway, so we're still working on getting estimates. We sent out an RFP for the Township Office Building facelift. So hopefully we will be bringing those estimates to our next board meeting. So that's kind of exciting. Our assessing department has been working long hours. They're trying to set the 2020 tax roll. So they should be pretty much done by the end of this week. And because of the unseasonably warmer weather, we've been getting a lot of road complaints. But none are coming from Sashabaw between Sherwood and Granger Road.
Imagine that.
So that's good. So the road commission was out grading last week, and they should be finishing up this week. And then, as Bob alluded to, the road improvement subcommittee met, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think so.
About 2 weeks ago. And we discussed ditching and culvert cleaning on East Glass Road. So that's going to be one of the projects that the road commission is going to do this summer. And then we also discussed purchasing gravel. And that's going to kind of depend on how much money we still owe for the Sashabaw paving. but hopefully it won't be much. And we'll be able to get some projects done. So there's a small part of Kent Road that we have to finish up yet, and then we're looking at parts of Granger Road, and then we can move up to Hurd Road and Hummer Lake Road. So that concludes my report, and we can move on to correspondence. For correspondence tonight, we have Zoning Board of Appeals meeting minutes of October 23rd, 2019. We have Planning Commission meeting minutes of November 26, 2019. Road Improvement Subcommittee meeting minutes of January 14th, 2020. And an Oakland County Supervisor's resolution opposing the RTA proposal. And also an Oakland County letter on the 2020 Oak Tree Program. And then Holly Township also sent us their RTA opposition resolution. And then tonight we added the BGYA invitation to their breakfast, right? Yes. So at this time, we will take citizen comments on agenda items.
Just wondering, why did we get a letter from Holly on the RTA? Is there some sort of significance to that?
When they passed their resolution, they probably said they were going to pass it to neighboring townships.
Okay,
And
just wondering.
so that's.
I'm like
how we
wondering,
got
like,
it.
well, okay.
Okay.
Everyone voted against it, so.
Yeah, all the supervisors of the townships in Oakland County, we passed a resolution as well opposing it.
That's what I was wondering about
Yeah.
the Holly one. Was that something special? But obviously it's not.
Okay, so right now, we are going to do citizens' comments on agenda items. So if you would like to make a comment on any of our agenda items, now is your opportunity. You have 3 minutes to speak. So is anyone out there wanting to make a comment, or? Yes.
You're fine.
This is regarding the rezoning on Granger Road. I had spoken to a few of you regarding some concerns I had, particularly with what would happen to the property if the new buyers decided to move on. And it was with the terminology really that I didn't understand. I've spoken to Bill Dinnan this afternoon, and he forwarded my questions to Doug Luan, got back to Bill, Bill got back to me. And it really had to do with camping. I was concerned that this possibly, with the terminology they were using, that this could turn into a campground. And that's not the case. Via Doug and Bill, they've assured me that camping is really a term more used for the people that are going to be staying in these buildings that they're building. And so it's really a kind of a terminology thing. And they just wanted to make sure that whoever purchased the property moving forward, they would also allow these, quote, campers to be able to stay in these buildings. So that's allayed my concerns, and I just wanted to pass that on because I know I'd spoken to a few of you, and I hope this moves forward because it'll be nice. And as the term goes, of everybody I've spoken to, it's much better than a subdivision. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to any of the agenda items? Okay. All right, then we will go ahead and move on. So tonight for our discussion, we have Brian Colburn here, who is the chief engineer at the Oakland County Water Resource Commission, and he is going to fill us all in on the Kersley Creek interceptor that might be heading our way.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Again, my name is Brian Coburn. I'm Chief Engineer for Sewer Systems for Oakland County Water Resource Commissioner's Office. I'm here to talk a little bit about a proposal that's come out from Genesee County that makes sewer possibly available to the communities in northwest Oakland County. So I'll run through just what we know as of now. It's moving pretty fast. There's a lot of moving parts. So I'll give you the best information I have available today, and then I'll pass information along as needed if the township is interested. So we were contacted by Genesee County. They want to extend a sewer to the southern Genesee County line, the northern Oakland County boundary. And we were contacted by Groveland Township and Holly Township asking for help. Since we're the county and we deal with sewers all the time, and they don't, they asked us for our assistance. So we reached out to them and other stakeholders, and we've had some meetings. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. I just wanted to preface a little bit. This slide's not in what I provided to the township, if you guys have a copy of these. All information that I'm providing tonight is very preliminary. We've been asked to assist the communities, and we're not promoting sewer service in any way. Our office is not pushing this. We're just here to provide the information and to assist if requested. There's many assumptions I've made in the presentation that are subject to further review and refinement. And the goal is just to share what we know right now and to get feedback from the board. So the proposed project, the Genesee County has requested by Grand Blanc Township to extend sewer to serve the eastern portion of their township that's not currently served directly. That opened up a discussion between Genesee County and Holly and Groveland about, would they be interested in having sewer? If they're extending it from Irish Road and I-69, which is right up here, if they're going to extend it all the way down, they can make the pipe bigger to accommodate future flows from those townships. They contacted us. We started having a dialogue with Genesee County. And that's kind of how this whole thing got started back in October. I want to talk a little bit about our office since you don't use our services. I wanted to make you a little familiar with what we do. The Water Resource Commissioner is an elected official. He's responsible for water, sewer, and storm drains throughout the county. We own, operate, and maintain 3 regional sewer systems serving 750,000 people. This is our business. We have 4 sewage retention basins, 3 wastewater treatment plants, 7 sanitary storage facilities, and then we also operate and maintain under community contracts 13 drinking water systems and 15 local sewer systems. We have 350 employees and we're there 24/7, 365. So, we basically, are capable of handling this is basically what I'm trying to convey to the board if you want to use our services. And this is just an overview of what we provide. The yellow is the Clinton Oakland, which is the adjacent sewer system. Here's Brandon. And these are the townships that are involved currently, Holly, Groveland, and Brandon. Genesee County, they have their own water and sewer system. Down here this is Holly, Groveland, and Brandon. And their sewer extension will be coming down here to the county line. And they were talking about this other spur to come over and possibly serve Ortonville and Brandon Township. Their sewage treatment plant's up in Montrose. It's a pretty far distance for the pipe to go, but it's available, and they are interested in serving. So just to give you an idea of what the service areas we're talking about, Holly and Groveland, when they contacted us, they're looking at the Dixie Highway corridor from the county line all the way down to Grange Hall Road is what they're most interested in. I just kind of sketched this based on what I know from talking to people in our office. It's not in any way set in stone, so if you have different ideas, which I've heard some already, basically serving along M15, possibly the village if they want to, and then south, some of the lake communities in Brandon. A little bit of background, when the master plans for these systems were developed, this is the Clinton Oakland and the Clinton River watershed here. This is the Flint River watershed, so this all naturally drains northwest up to Genesee County, so it was included in their master plan when they built the plant. That's on that side. The stakeholders that we identified are all listed here. All the townships, Oakland County Parks because they have Groveland Oaks, the Health Division because of the septic systems, DNR because of the Holly State Rec area. They're very interested in serving that area because they have a failing septic system. Our office, Genesee County, Eagle, which is the regulatory authority for the sewer systems and for the campgrounds, and Economic Development Community Affairs has been involved at Oakland County also. So just looking at what are the sewer needs in northwest Oakland County, Groveland Oaks has a need. They have a failing septic system. Holly State Rec area, like I said. Brandon Schools, I understand, is having some potential issues with their system, or they are looking to upgrade. I'm not clear on that, and that's why I'm looking for feedback. The village health department, I guess, shared some concerns that they had with what's going on in the village. And then proposed development, there's the ORV park that's being developed in Holly and Groveland, and they're very interested in the ancillary development that's going to happen around there. They're seeing restaurants, hotels, seeing it as a destination so people don't have to go up north. They can come, here, and Oakland County is up north, and save themselves a drive and really have a nice ORV park to visit. And then along the M15 corridor, yes.
Do you have any information on Goodrich? Have they requested? I know
No.
Atlas Township doesn't.
No, Atlas Township's not interested. Goodrich is not interested at this point. But we have two alternatives that I can talk about to deal with the Goodrich issue.
Okay, now that begs the question, if Atlas Township and Groveland, Goodrich are not interested, why are they bringing it all the way down to the Oakland County line?
There's,
Isn't Atlas Township right?
right, yes, so there's two, that shows two arms on the one that I showed
Right
here.
Yeah.
Right there, it shows two arms. There's
Yeah.
another alternative that would serve Ortonville and Brandon along extension from Perryville Road. Not
No, what I'm
built-
getting
Yes.
at is the solid line that comes straight down from Grand Blanc Township down to the county line. Why are you coming down that way if no one, Oakland or Atlas has said no and Goodrich has said
Oh,
no?
because Grand Blanc Township needs it. This is the Vassar Road is the county, or the township boundary.
okay.
Oops, I'm sorry.
That's all Grand Blanc Township, all the way down.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is all Grand Blanc Township right
I
here.
got you.
Yep, this is Saginaw Street, McCandlish.
Okay.
That's all being developed, or
Okay.
is developed.
Confused with that.
So this is kind of a blow up of the Holly and Groveland service areas. Holly's the green, Groveland's the pink, and this is the state rec area and Groveland Oaks Park and the ORV park. Again, this is, where I'm asking for your input, and at any point, maybe after the presentation, I'm not sure how you wanted to structure this, but that's why I'm here today is, what do you want us to do for you, if anything? Service population, Genesee County did an estimate when they prepared their master plan for the treatment plant of Montrose. And at that time, they were talking about 2,200 people in the township, and 1,000 people in the village. We've not narrowed that down in our estimate because we've refined the numbers based on what the current master plans look like for Groveland and Holly. We have not done that for Brandon or Ortonville, but if that's something that they want us to do, we will definitely do it.
So Groveland and Holly has sewers in their master plan with an amount of residents that will be served?
They've indicated that they have, I don't know if they've shown sewer specifically in the master plan, but they've shown that they would welcome denser commercial type development along Dixie Highway as part of their master plan.
Okay.
They're not looking to serve the rest of the township, though. Okay, so here's the two alternatives that I was talking about. This is coming straight down Dixie Highway, and this would be the other one that comes from Goodrich area to serve Ortonville and Brandon. Again, that's relying on Goodrich making a connection. This is alternative two, which is Goodrich doesn't have to make the connection. We could still serve the village and the township by a force main that would come along Perryville Road and come back to Dixie Highway. The cost of the two are very similar, so it's not extremely different in price. It's just the approach. So project costs, these are very, very preliminary, very conservative, but it's hard to give a presentation without someone wanting to know what the costs are, so I wanted to present them just so you know where we're at today. Total project cost is about $35 to $40 million. Oakland County share is about half of that as of right now. Genesee County charges a capital improvement fee. That's the buy-in to their system. They've built a lot of infrastructure, and Oakland County was not part of that when it was constructed. So the buy-in for that is $1,000 per REU. And an REU is a residential equivalent unit, which is a single-family home. And again, the costs are going to be refined a little bit more. So local costs, if Brandon were to ask to connect, what would this look like? Based on the Genesee County master plan that they prepared and that population that was in there in the service area that they envisioned, it would be about $6 million to bring it to the county line. So that'd be the buy-in, the portion of the pipe from Irish Road down to the county line would be $6 million just to get it to the county line for service. $2 million paid into the system for Genesee County, and then another $5 million of construction within Oakland County. So what's that look financing wise?
That was just Brandon Township, 13 million?
Yes. Yep. So if you were to finance that, which is what our office has done in the past when we built sewer systems and could do in the future, usually it's a 20-year term, interest rates around 2.5%, just to be conservative. That would make your annual debt payment of $13 million approximately $835,000. That's a lot of money. So what we're doing too is we're looking for grant opportunities. We're looking for ways that we can offset costs. One of the things we're doing is talking to DNR, just because they were going to pay a couple $1 million. They haven't told me the exact number yet, but they're going to pay money towards a new septic system, and they would front load potentially some of this construction and then ask for a payback on the back end. Genesee County can also do the same potentially, and we, I think, can find funds potentially to do that too through grants. So I don't want to scare anybody away with a big number, but this is kind of where we're at in the ballpark of cost at this
That
point.
includes the $100 per house too?
Correct.
Estimates it to include it.
Yep, so this could be phased also. So if you want to just have it available to the county line, that's the buy-in, so it'd be the $6 million. So half of that cost is just to get it to the county line.
But don't they want to bring it to the county line for Grand Blanc anyway? Why do we got to pay for that?
Because they're going to oversize the pipe, and so that's what we're paying for, is the oversizing of the pipe to serve additional population. That number is also negotiable, the 50%. That's what they've presented to us. We haven't provided numbers to refute it or to accept it yet. So schedule-wise, right now we're trying to define the service area and the population to see who's interested. Genesee County is going to complete the design and right-of-way acquisition throughout this year so they can get started. They want to construct the portion within Genesee County next year. And then when when we get a request from the communities, we'll begin construction on Oakland County's portion of it when that's wanted. As far as legal agreements go, there would be an agreement between Genesee and Oakland. And then we'd have an agreement with each community to operate and maintain the system, and then to construct the system and finance it. And then each community would have to adopt a sewer use ordinance, which we would write and present. So next steps, we're trying to find out who wants it. We're looking to the future. You may not want it now, but if your master plan says you want to have it in the future, now's the time to make sure we get the right size pipe. We want to finalize those service areas and populations. We want to better understand the project costs, and we're working with Genesee County to do that. We're presenting to the city, villages, and townships. Want to find out who's interested and who's not interested in the project, start the financial and legal discussions and the technical discussion.
What's the timeline for all that?
Timeline for all this is the next 6 months.
So by the end of July, you want an answer to all these questions?
If possible. The county, Oakland County is working with Genesee County to provide, they didn't provide us a lot of time, so we're understanding of that. And
That's an
what
understatement.
yeah, so we've made it known that we're not extremely happy about that. So we're looking at ways to get around that.
Okay.
Because I know this is quick for a lot of communities to move. I'm sorry.
Have you talked to the village yet?
We have not. We sent them a letter, and we're waiting for a response from the village.
At one point, we were going to go out and talk to the businesses and the people that lived around the lakes and see what their interest was. But we didn't really have any type of estimate to tell them on cost. So would you be able to provide us information that we could give them that would be a cost estimate to find out?
We can talk about that.
What the interest is?
Yeah, where we're at right now is my office doesn't have a lot of money to do this because we work strictly off of rates, and so no one out here is a rate payer. So we're kind of doing as little as we can while still providing as much information as we can. So if the townships are asking for additional, we can work something out potentially. Or if you have a consultant that you work with, maybe we can work with them to help refine some of these costs.
at the moment, we're not working with anyone, and the reason I asked you about the master plan, and the other question is, we're in the process of redoing our master
Okay.
plan, and at present, we don't have anything in there specific regarding sewers. so
Okay.
I didn't know if that was something that we needed.
Right, and so if the township's answer, and, you know, again, I'm just kind of throwing things out here so we can have a discussion, but if the township's answer wants to be, we don't know right now, but we might be in the future, I'd still like to identify what that service area looks like and what that population would be, so that we can let them know how they should size that pipe.
Right.
And there'll be some arrangement somehow set up, hopefully we can do this, to say, okay, you guys aren't buying in now, but eventually you might. And we're gonna reserve capacity for you, and we'll see what that cost looks like.
And then how would that cost be paid for?
There's a lot of different ways we can do it. It can be financed. I'd have to get back to you on that with specifics.
But the township itself would be liable for part of the cost.
Right, so we'd have an agreement with each community who would have to help us pay the cost in some way. So we would bond it, and then the townships would be responsible for the debt payment on those bonds. If we can't offset it with grant monies, which is what we're still looking into.
Okay. And then down the road, when it does come time to install the sewer system into the residents and the businesses, would we recap some of that initial investment at that point?
It depends on how you set it up. Some communities do it that way. It's capital costs. So you build the system and then you assess. You can either do a payback, which is looking at the per capita cost for each of those properties to make the connection in the future based on the debt that you incurred, or you can do a flat capital fee, which is your cost of buying into the system, similar to what the charge was for Genesee County. Your cost per person to buy into the system that you've constructed is this much.
Okay.
I have two questions for you. So your role would be basically as the ombudsman for the program to coordinate between Genesee County and Oakland County?
Correct. So
You would be our go-to guy. We would go to you with
correct.
anything.
Yep. So yeah, our office is serving as the primary ombudsman, if you want, for the townships to be able to have that communication with Genesee County, because they were talking directly to Groveland and Holly, and they were getting, telephone game, different answers, and we wanted to make sure everybody's getting the right information.
Right. Okay, my second question was, the number, and I understand it's just a rough number, you put down $6 million just to bring it to the Oakland County line. If other communities in Oakland County, North Oakland County, and south of us jumped onto the program, would that number reduce?
Yeah, the more people that are connected to the system, the lower the number gets per person. So that was based on your portion of the overall Oakland County population that would connect to it.
Okay.
So the Oakland County portion is Oakland County's portion of the total population that would connect to the sewer, including Genesee and Oakland. And then what I said for Brandon was Brandon's portion of the total Oakland County population.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any estimates on how the Genesee County sewer system, whatever, compares to the Detroit, mega sewer system?
As far as service costs, or
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have that information yet. That's something I know I want to provide to the communities.
Yeah.
It's probably cheaper just based on debt coverage, but I can get specific numbers on that.
We would definitely need that
Yeah.
kind of numbers.
Yep.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
No.
All right, we hope to hear some more information on this from you
Yes.
as it's available.
Yep. I will be in touch.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you very much.
Do you need anything from us first, or are you gonna just keep us, I'm just trying to figure out where we stand and what we need, if we need to be doing anything, or,
Right. What I would like to know, and it doesn't have to be tonight, it can be another meeting, is there interest? Is it now or in the future? I don't know what the schedule of your master plan is. Is it scheduled to be done this year, or is it further
Yes.
out?
Yeah.
When?
Right.
We're in the process of updating it right now.
Okay. When do you expect to have that?
It'll
was
be
the
probably
recreation.
completed,
Okay.
we're expecting to complete it, completely update it by October.
Okay. All right. So if you get to a point in your process where you have some direction, or interim ideas that you want to send to me, Kathy has my contact information. Really what I'm looking for is the township interested? If so, which areas would you be interested in, and when, now or in the future? And I don't need that tonight. I know it's a lot to soak in and think
And
about.
I think if we had some type of estimate to give our businesses and residents, we could go out and get those answers.
I can see I'll see what I can do on that, and I can prepare maybe a write-up of what that looks like, with the audience being the property owners. And then I'll send a letter once I have more information to the township, so you have the correspondence back from us with additional information.
Okay, that'd be
And then
great.
if you want me to come back, I'm more than happy to do that.
All right, thank you very
Are-
much.
are- Do you have plans, one more question, do you have plans to make the same presentation to the Ortonville Village Council?
If asked to, I will. We're just awaiting a response from the village.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
there's someone in the audience.
Thank you very much, Brian. And that paddle, when you're done with it, you can just set it up on that backpack thing. Thank you. Okay, so we will move on to our consent agenda this evening. We have regular meeting minutes of January 6, 2020. Regular bills in the amount of $18,574.27. Prepays in the amount of $269,756. Township benefits from payroll account of $30,631.69. Trustees' timesheets in the amount of $1,138. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Support.
I have a motion by trustee Marshall, and it is seconded by trustee Rumble to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion on it? Seeing no discussion, roll call, please.
Cordella,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Darnell,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Consent agenda has been approved. We have no unfinished business this evening, so that brings us to new business. Our first item of new business is the poverty exemption resolution. We have to approve this every year. And in talking to the assessor, it hasn't changed from last year at all. It's the same numbers, and if anyone wants to know what the state guideline numbers are for any of these, I have them. So ours is higher than the state poverty.
I was just gonna say, is ours higher or lower?
Ours is higher,
Each level?
yes.
Okay.
That's
I'll make-
typical, isn't it?
I'll make the motion, pardon me, Candy?
I said, that's typical, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's kind of,
I can make this motion, I don't have to read all this, do I?
No.
Okay, so I'll make the motion to accept the Charter Township of Brandon Guidelines Resolution 000-20 for poverty exemption
Exemption.
as presented.
Now, do you change these numbers?
yes. Yeah,
So,
put it on our letterhead and do, yeah.
so it's not gonna, that's not gonna be on there,
So you don't want that number?
It won't be that number, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
well, okay.
but we know which.
Excluding the number.
Excluding that number I gave. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion by trustee DePalma, and it is seconded by trustee Rumble to approve the Charter Township of Brandon Guidelines Resolution for Poverty Exemption as presented, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have anything to say about it before we vote? All right, let's do roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Darnell,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Cordella,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. That got approved. Next, we have the conditional rezoning from the building department, and our building director is here, Mr. Dinnan. And I'm sorry that all of the paperwork didn't get printed for you this evening, but what we did print was the, let's see. The amendment to the rezoning and the change. So this is gonna be rezoned to a conditional REC. And maybe you could give us a kind of a general outline of what a REC is.
I will, and I'll also define what conditional means.
Okay.
And I'm doing this because we've only had one other conditional rezoning since I started, which means a number of you probably haven't seen one except for the one we did see, which had some other issues that went with it that this one doesn't. I guess that's all I can suffice it to say. However, a conditional rezoning is allowed by the ordinance under section 46-169. A conditional rezoning is a rezoning of a property to a specific zoning. However, conditionally, the applicants have the right to voluntarily limit what that rezoning means or what that rezoning would entail. In other words, from RE, which is your rural estate single family, to REC, which is recreational, when you look at the allowable uses in a recreational zoning, it's all encompassing of a lot of things. So if you looked at the application that was sent to you, there was a page in there where the applicant has said, we're not going to do any amphitheaters. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. And it was a very in-depth list. However, they did below that in the next section
This is
say,
the last sheet that we got.
Yes.
correct, that's the sheet that you received.
That's what I thought, just asking.
So the list below that, in the next section down, are the things they'd like to retain out of the recreational zoning to be able to do on the property. So understanding that a conditional rezoning is a rezoning where the applicant limits themselves. The township cannot force, cannot coerce, cannot do anything referencing what the conditions are. That has to be totally voluntary on the part of the applicant. And the ordinance is pretty specific about that. Or of course, so is the state law. Our ordinance section does indicate what the state law says.
I have a question regarding that.
Sure.
Can they, so in the site, I've read through all this already, they have their limits and restrictions of no, 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 and then they have what they're going to do. If we approve this at any time, can they come back to the no, no, no's and say we're gonna do it without our approval, or no, it'd have to come back to our approval?
It would have to go through the process all over again.
Okay.
So their no means they won't, and it's attached to the property. And as a matter of fact, if you read down through the ordinance, they actually have to have an agreement with the township that is then registered with the Register of Deeds that attaches it to that property.
Right, so if they
So their
sell it-
heirs and successors can't do anything but what that says without going back through this whole process again.
Right, so if they sell it, it's not just theirs, it's the property.
Oh, no, it's the property. It does not go with the owner. It is with the property. There is also issues where if they don't start within a certain period of time to be determined, or if they don't complete that process, it can, if they don't meet those conditions, revert back to its original zoning. So it's a real incentive on the part of the applicant to start the process, put reasonable time limits on it, which we don't want them to fail, but we don't want it to drag on forever also. So reasonable time limits is good. And, well, it's not just me, right? No. Okay. Reasonable time limits make sense in this whole operation to see that what is proposed starts, goes through its inception, and ends up a reality. So I just want to make sure you understood that this evening. Not unlike the Planning Commission meeting the other night, some people had some concerns, and it was kind of offered to the applicant, and clearly we had to stop that discussion because we can't arm twist, we can't coerce, we can't do any of that relative to the conditions they opposed or put on this application. It is their voluntary action. Yes.
So I have two questions with that because we do not have the PC's minutes to know what was stated, and that would have always been good to have, even though they're not approved, it's been good to see the PC's minutes.
I would love to send you that draft, but we had a copier malfunction, and
Right.
I think you got emailed that information.
I think so.
Today?
No.
No,
that
the other
was
day, I made copies at home.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
I
have
did
any
receive them.
So was there any neighbors that were against it?
Only the one you heard from tonight, and I thought I hear him say he likes that idea now, so he's got
Okay.
his questions pretty much answered.
And then, how did the PC vote? Because I didn't.
6-0, they had one that was not present, so it was a total affirmative action on their
Okay.
part.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Are we allowed to ask the applicants any questions?
Oh, yeah, they're actually, I'll introduce them for you. They are here this evening. So you have Scott Strangel, we got Rachel Rutger. We have the current landowner, who's the lady next to Rachel. Obviously, we all know Scott. And then Mike Riddle is here to help answer questions too, because it's my understanding he would be involved in the development process.
Okay.
So, and I also understand that the applicants met with Mr. Riddle and the fire chief on site today to start working on other things. Before we go too much more into question, I just want to finish up one quick thing, and that is the approval of a conditional rezoning does not preclude the applicant from having to get whatever special land use requirements there are. And that camping one is a special land use under the recreation zoning. So for them to get approval to have those cottages or camping units or whatever you want to call these things, they will have to get special land use, which is a public hearing. So everybody within 300 feet will be notified, and it will be in front of the Planning Commission. Excuse me. So the other thing is that conditional rezoning does not approve their site plan, although they have offered one, which the rezoning can be based upon. So it's really good that they did offer that. But they still have to go through the site plan approval process. And if they need any variances, they will have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for variances. This conditional rezoning doesn't take away any of the other requirements based on the ordinances. So, that all being said,
Go ahead, go ahead.
I just kind of wanted to get a general idea. I mean, they're doing this to operate a business per se?
yes, but they
And-
will live on the site. They're
And they will live on
actually
the
going
site.
to be residents
So
on that property.
I was just wondering if we could get an overview of what the
You
business
know what?
is.
I'm sure Rachel would love to do that. She's just been sitting there anxious to tell you what their vision is and what they're going to do. I assume Rachel's the spokesperson.
Could I just ask a couple clarification
Yes, sir.
questions first?
Sure.
First off, where is the advantage to the township to enter into this conditional agreement as opposed to just saying, we'll give you a special use?
That's
the
a very
property.
good question. And it was actually discussed by the planning. Oh, come on, Bob. You come up with good questions all the time. I don't usually have good answers for you, but now I do, okay? This was brought up by the Planning Commission because looking at the alternative development of this property, under RE, it could be developed as what's called a PUD, a planned unit development.
Okay, right.
It could be a subdivision whereby, I think it's 25 houses or more.
No.
I think it's
Did you have-
27, I
Right
think.
around 25. Right.
Okay,
2.5 acres.
23.
I'm taking a guess.
About a six.
It's close. But if you equate the use of the property and the traffic that's produced by 23 houses, their traffic, even with 50 possibility occupants on a given event, is still less than the traffic that would come in and out of that subdivision every day of the week.
Okay, so
The intensity of the property is a lot less than it would be if it was left RE.
okay, so the second half of my question, although I guess it would be the second question because I said that too. In the current agreement, then, we have no say whatsoever other than what they say they're going to do and will not do.
The restrictions.
Right, so we have no say. So-
Basically, tonight, and this is the sad part of this, it's a yes or a no. It's yes, we agree, or we may not like it, so therefore the answer is no, and hopefully that won't happen, but if that did happen, hopefully the applicants are listening to what you're saying tonight, and they do have the opportunity to return with something different, okay? But it isn't something the township can force them to make that change. In other words, tonight's
Right,
not a
right.
bargaining
Right,
session.
yeah, I get that. So I guess my question is, because it didn't take me very long if it's zoned recreational, and they're saying what they will do and they will not do, you're in the horse business, you've heard this saying before. How do you make a small fortune in the horse business? Start with a large fortune. Unfortunately, I see a lot of businesses go under, and hopefully this wouldn't happen with you. But I'm not overly creative, but in a matter of about 30 seconds, I could come up with all sorts of recreational things that were not on their list that they said that would not do, that would be a real annoyance to the neighborhood, such as motocross racing, such as car racing,
Yeah.
such as RC automobile or plane races,
That's not a permitted use under our current recreation zoning. No, this is not giving them something to do that can't already be done in recreation.
okay. So there's restrictions on those things already.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're limited to what you can do in the recreation zoning by virtue of the ordinance. And what they're saying is, there's things in there we don't even want to do, so we want to restrict it even further to do what we are proposing we want to do. Actually, Rachel may help you feel a little better about that if she tells you what they want to do and what they're doing currently, and maybe you want to hear her out, and then we can come
That's
back
fine,
and
'cause
revisit that
I
again.
have tons of questions.
Yeah.
I have tons of questions. All right.
Okay. Did you want to do that first, then?
Yeah, so just so we have an overview of
Sure. Sure. Your turn.
what the plans are.
So this is a horse business. It's a horse lifestyle business. Scott and I both have other businesses that we do full-time and that we both work from home and are professionals in other realms. So this isn't a business where we're hoping to make money by putting as many horses on that property as possible. We think we found a pretty innovative way to share horses and to share that lifestyle in a way that hasn't been done a lot around in these parts. I happen to currently live on a farm that used to be known as K Farms. A lot of the people in the horse business know that farm pretty well. We've lived there for the last 5 years and have rehabbed it. And we're very clear on the pitfalls of the horse business in terms of, big scale operations, lots of horses, lots of, our business works right now with about 12 horses. We do experiences that are related to being with a horse on the ground a lot of times, and being sort of in a peaceful solitude of the outdoors. Most of the people that pay to spend time with us and our horses are looking for peace and quiet and solitude, and they're looking to spend time with a horse in a way they maybe haven't done before. So that would be equine assisted learning. That would be we call it ground and groom, saddle socials, things like that that are really more based on sort of a holistic equestrian experience and not necessarily going around in circles in a jumper ring, right? So because of that, there's this component where people need to stay sometimes for more than 24 hours or for more than 6 hours. We want to be able to offer them a weekend or a multiple day experience. And because of, that's what's driving really the condition, the rezoning, right? Is that we want to be able to offer lodging for people to stay for a few days. And so because of that, we need this weird hybrid called kind of part rec, but really not, because it's very low density, as Bill explained. And the heart of the business, which is also our home, is to preserve the land and to share it for what it is, which is quiet solitude. So that is, it is a horse business, but really more of a horse lifestyle business, and not in the traditional sense that maybe some of us with a background in horse country would recognize a horse business to be. So that's sort of the big picture of what's going on.
So you refer to events, not more than 6 events per year will exceed 50 participants. So an event, you're saying, could last a weekend or a week?
Yeah, it could be like a mother-daughter event, or maybe we bring somebody in to do a demonstration or a clinic.
I'm just wondering how long do these events, could these
I
events
mean,
last?
a typical event is just a day, or maybe one overnight, so 2 days and one overnight. That would be sort of a typical example. A weekend would also be another example, 2 nights and 3 days, arrival on a Friday, for example, and depart on a Sunday.
So there wouldn't be any more than 6 per year of those?
Right, right.
But that's not something you guarantee in your form, though.
I don't.
So if it goes really well, you could say, let's do 12.
No, it's on here.
Part of the
Restrictions.
requirements, when they make an application and they condition themselves.
Okay, all right.
It's based on the information they provide.
Okay.
So they're providing that limitation.
So I have another question.
Yep,
You're talking about events,
right.
and I see you're planning having 12 horses,
Right.
okay? But
I
you're
mean-
going to have 50 to 75 people?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not hauling horses in.
Nope.
How are 50 to 75 horses or people going to have a meaningful lifestyle experience with
Well,
only
it
12
sounds like
horses?
you need to come to one of our events.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, not all people who want to experience time with a horse want to get in a saddle and ride it.
No, I get that.
So, this is a business that we're running right now on the existing farm that we live on. And so, I'm not guessing about what people are up to or how they behave. I mean, again, I'm planning to live shoulder to shoulder with these guests. So even if it went swimmingly well, I don't think I would ever want to do that many more events, because I don't know if I'd want that many people in my backyard that often, right? So, but yeah, I mean, the horses are really an element of, part of this experience, this sort of immersion. Sometimes people ride. I mean, we do have events that are about riding. We do have some horses in our herd right now that are privately boarded by private owners that come and have a more traditional experience. It's their horse and they come and they ride it and whatever. I own a few horses personally. They have different jobs. Some of them include going to horse shows. Some of them are just mostly pasture ornaments. It just depends, right? So, but yeah, and we actually have 9 horses right now. It's fine for the business that it is, and we're not trying to get rich running this business. It's really more an extension of our passion and our lifestyle, and it's a way we think to kind of preserve this really unique piece of property, and so.
I did some quick math, and it's like, with 12 horses, it's 6.25 people per horse. But you're only saying 9 horses, and some of those are boarders. Are your boarders' horses
In the program.
in the program as
Yep,
well?
Yep.
So they're getting loved on and,
Combed and
Isn't that special?
taking selfies with.
And water down and bathe, and, you know.
All right. Okay, go ahead.
So what's the most horses you would allow on the land at a time? I don't know if that's in your, I didn't see that, so I didn't know if there's
current,
anything.
and again, that's sort of like, I mean, I personally only would ever probably want a dozen horses, just because that's my personal interest. The land, based on your zoning now, I think would allow 54 horses.
Okay.
So that just seems mind-boggling to me.
That's a lot of horses to take care of.
Yeah. It's a whole nother, that really is a whole nother business. And again,
54.
a lot of us know what those businesses look like. So, but again, I mean, that land
only
can
the first
accommodate it.
horse. That's
It
one
does
horse per
around
acre.
here, I guess, but that's not my intention. Our business is really 9 to 12 horses. That's what we're going to build our original barn for. And
So are you going to keep both businesses, or you're looking to move the business
we're
here?
moving. We're
moving.
moving
Okay.
the business. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so my question is dogs. Will you be raising dogs and boarding dogs on your property?
No.
Because in these limitations, it says that one of the provisions that you want to keep intact is hunt clubs and polo clubs, limited to the raising and boarding of horses and dogs to protect the resale value of the property. And I think having that there precludes, it would make a potential buyer think they could do a hunt club and raise a pack of hunting dogs.
Yeah, so that property actually does have a dog kennel, and that was used for that purpose. So if there, I don't know, and the owner of the property's here, that's her family's history with that, so she may be able to speak to it. I guess if the objection, I don't ever want to raise dogs there, but if the objection is theoretically if somebody else bought the property one day and they wanted to, would that be a problem? I guess the question would be is, has there ever been any complaints about it before? I think there is a dog kennel on there. I know it's been licensed to raise dogs. The reason why it's in my proposal is because what we were trying to do when we lifted the rec language and then stripped out what we didn't want to do, I just wanted to be careful not to change any of your language. And so in your rec provision, it's written out exactly like that. And they have bundled hunt club in with dogs. And because hunt club is raising horses, it seemed like, well, it says breeding horses. That's what your rec provision says. So the point is that that's not our intention, but because it's associated with horses and we're building a horse farm and it's part of your original language, I thought it should stay there without me modifying it. So that's the reason why it's there. It's not our plan to raise dogs or breed horses.
And I've been here 11 years, and I don't remember there being a dog kennel out there. There has been.
There's been a dog kennel there since we moved there.
How many dogs are?
It's a 4-run dog kennel. They have houses in the end, and then it's a concrete base.
It just has 4 runs?
Across the street from there, right
Co-
there.
Because my idea of a hunt club's, running to the hounds, and you have a
Right.
big pack of hounds, and
Right.
a lot of barking.
Right.
Exactly.
These were,
Yep.
my father raised bird hunting dogs.
But the bird hunting dogs, I had a bird hunting
they're
dog.
not the
And
same.
a horse,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're not
And
the
it's like
same.
one dog per one horse when you go out in trial or whatever. But if you're running to a pack of hounds, you've got a lot of dogs at once. And the hounds are more noisy. So that's just
Yeah,
our concern. We don't want to see a noisy pack of dogs get in.
Right. And I don't know if it exists. I guess I didn't find it when I was digging through that ordinance. Does your ordinance limit the amount of dogs a person could have anyway?
Well, we have something
residential.
in our ordinances regarding dog kennels.
Okay.
But I don't know
How that would
exactly
apply.
what
Yeah.
it said and how it would apply.
Yeah.
Limitation for dogs. I
We
thought
do.
we have an ordinance stating how
I
many.
thought it was,
people.
I
Yeah,
thought it
I
was
do.
4.
Right.
For
Well,
residential.
that's
So would
but
you
you could-
residential.
But you
that
can
way?
get a kennel, you can
Right.
get a kennel license
Right. Yeah.
with a larger piece of property, and I don't remember. And maybe Bill's looking it up.
One of my many other questions.
Started this kennel conversation.
Each year when our license got renewed, when the inspector came out, we got a bag of tags with the kennel number on it and everything. It was probably a good dozen or 20 of them.
Who was the inspector? Do you remember? Because I don't think,
I remember the person you talked to. It was a lady a couple years, and then she retired.
oh, was it someone from the county that came out? Okay.
How many acres is this property?
Is it 58? 57? Yeah.
Thanks.
Other one of my questions, because I have lots of them. The sale of food and beverages may be permitted as an accessory use. What kind of beverages?
Oh, are you asking if we're going to sell wine or something?
Beer and alcohol?
Wouldn't you get a special permit?
You'd have
for
to get a
that?
special permit, yeah.
We would just come and get a special permit if we decided to have
I think
an
that'd be through the
event.
state though, wouldn't it, Bill?
Yeah,
Special
you have to
permit
get
would be
one-day
through the
license
state.
from the liquor
Yeah,
control.
we would just get that specially permitted if we ended up having an event that included wine or alcohol. We would just get a one-day liquor license from the state.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, another one of my questions is, now, I think I'm reading this right.
Well, that's like.
It's difficult
I
to
did that
see.
a long time ago. There's a real site plan floating around here that's an architectural
Well,
drawing. Yeah. This
don't
is
think
probably
we've
a
seen
much more sophisticated version. That I did in Word Microsoft.
Is this,
Word.
this one? No, that's,
Yeah,
oh,
I mean, this is really the
Okay.
site plan. And
All
it's
right.
tiny, but
That is the one they submitted, and it will be
Yeah.
attached to the conditional, so what shows on that plan
I just wanted to see
is what they're gonna have.
the cabins.
Although it's not site plan approval, it does limit them to what that shows.
And, let me see. So that would be towards the lakeside where the cabins would be, right?
Three of them will be up on top of the hill.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind, yeah, it's kind of,
yeah.
9 of them are farther down the hill.
There's only one future cabin that's cited to be near the lake. The rest of them are more in the field.
right, I'm looking at the 5 initial ones.
Right, those are actually up top, if you will, if you're familiar with the topography of that property.
Right there.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
up top.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's in the woods.
So those are your 5 initial.
Those are our 5 additional, the ones, the 3 initial ones that we want to build first are right here.
Okay, so my question goes towards water and sewage. Are you gonna put a septic field in for each individual cabin?
That's getting sorted out now. We'll do what we need to do in order to make it compliant. I
Bill,
think.
is there a formula for if you have multiple dwellings on one septic field?
That's totally up to the.
Oakland County.
It's Oakland County, they'd
And
do
the
it, okay.
cabins are small. The cabins are between 450 and 525 square feet.
So
Right.
these are like
So-
tiny houses.
Yeah, right.
But that really doesn't have much to do with.
But how many
much?
up there? How many?
The first initial will be 3.
Because I've got, on this thing, it says, we plan for 5 all-season tiny guest houses.
I don't know what version, we've submitted a few different revisions. I don't know
This
what.
says 12, 13, 19.
So now you're at 12 homes, is
Yeah,
that
well,
correct?
the plan that we submitted during the review was for a 12 total. 3 was for the initial.
So that's how I was trying to figure out how you got from
Right.
the initial to 50 people, but 12 makes sense now
Yeah,
because you get
right.
4 staying in a house times 12 is,
Right.
you got 48 people. Because that's why I was always like, how are they going to fit 50 people in there? And I think that's where we started thinking you were having people camping because we didn't have anything that said 12
Right,
houses.
it just said 5.
Gotcha. Right, yes,
And that
and
makes
so.
a lot more sense now that
Yeah.
there's houses for 12 or
Where are
for
these
48
people gonna be?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and so that's the revised, the blueprint that we have that shows that, and,
Okay.
yeah.
So the county takes that into account. They will count fixture units per unit, and they could have multiple units attached to one system.
Okay.
which is actually more cost.
I would think so,
Well,
but
yeah,
I
'cause
was
they're so
wondering about
close
the,
to- yeah.
any possible overload on the system. And my other question is with, especially with the
They'll do it
ones,
to the max, so.
I was thinking also with the, with Perry Lake being there, you know, depending on how close that system is,
They have a requirement for distance to water.
do we know if this is actually meets
See,
that criteria?
See, what's happening here is, this is all part of the site plan approval process. What they're doing right now is asking for a conditional rezoning based upon that plan. But to implement that plan is gonna take site plan approval, it's gonna take engineering, that would go through HRC. It's gonna have to go back to the planning commission for site plan approval. It's gonna have to go back to the planning commission for a special use permit.
They're gonna
It's a
need,
long ways to go. This is just to get the
Right.
zoning
Ball
requirements
rolling.
right, so the county will have to come and approve the septic and all that.
They'll have
There's-
to make application for all that. yeah.
Right, so this is just to get the ball rolling, and then they still have to get all those other approvals before it actually happens.
Correct.
Right.
Before I can issue any permits for those, they'll have to have all that environmental stuff taken care of ahead of time.
Is there a livable house there now?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Actually, she didn't address it, but it is an older home which they plan on refurbishing
Is that the cabin, log cabin?
and restoring.
Chief, I have a question for you too, because you're there. You know, I have to ask you the question because you're here. I see on your memo to us, you had a concern about the, should not have more than 50 occupants. First, we need to have vehicle access to all the structures for both ambulances and fire trucks. Secondly, the barn must not have more than 50 occupants. I'm talking,
I got clarification for that through the owner yet this afternoon.
I guess we're talking about people and not horses?
Correct.
Okay. Are you,
In the
you,
barn.
yeah, right.
So my concern was I want to make sure that they weren't turning it into an entertainment venue.
Right.
They have weddings, that type of thing.
Exactly.
I've had multiple conversations with Mr. Riddle, and I was able to meet Scott today, and that does not appear to be the case. That looks like it's going to be 50 people max. The reason I put the thing at 50 is because that makes it a business use occupancy and does not require suppression or anything additional like that.
The
Okay.
building code doesn't treat it as an amusement facility.
Right.
Where if it was 50 or more than 50, it's classified as amusement, it becomes an aid use, and then it has to be
Right.
suppressed. and all the
But
other-
from on their own plan, they have 50 to 75.
Correct.
So then the 70,
Occupants
75.
on the property, not in the barn.
Right. The barn
Who's
only
going
has-
to enforce the doors? Okay, you 25 can't come inside the barn right now. How do you enforce that?
That's a little more difficult, however, we can require them to post occupancy load, just like we do around the corner on the wall here, where I've seen this room packed with more than 78 people in it.
Way more.
Okay,
At least once.
sorry.
So what do you think about enforcement, chief?
I
mean, what-
I guess the way I would look at it is, if we come across that it's a problem, then we need to readdress that at
Okay.
that time. If they're looking where it's gonna be a party type atmosphere, venue, whatever the case may be, I think at that point is, when we may have to look at, I don't know, Stuart will probably get more money out of it that way, so he'd be able to chime in at that point. But I really, from what they're explaining and the conversation I had, I don't feel that that's what they're trying to do.
It's not, the barn will have 12 stalls in it, a tack room,
Right.
feed room.
Yeah, I see it's, I mean, it's 120 by,
Yeah, it's just, it's a horse
yeah,
barn,
right.
not an empty event barn.
And there
Yeah.
won't be any bleachers, grandstands, any seating. I talked with Scott today, and that's not the intent of this barn at all. It's for riding horses in it, not staging people.
no, and I get that, but,
We're addressing those concerns that you have. We have them also.
okay, because my thing is, like I said, once we say yes, then we're sort of stuck with it. If you follow me. All right, let me see what else I have here.
Okay, while you're
Go
looking.
ahead, go ahead.
I want to ask about where it said permitted uses. It says public and private parks, playgrounds, picnic areas, and beaches. So are there going to be bonfires on these beaches? And is there any kind of time frame? Because sound carries so far on a lake. And if somebody's out there hooping and hollering and I have to get up at 5:30 in the morning, I'm not going to be a happy camper.
Right, right. Well, so again, that's directly out of your that language, the park, whatever, the park, playground, picnic areas. I just lifted that directly. You know, also part of this is complying with your loud noises after 11 p.m., no lighting, whatever. I'm searching for that language, but it's also in compliance with that ordinance. So, I mean, you know, we live here. We want to be in this space because of the quiet and the solitude. So, I think that's what we want that's the environment that we create, and that's what we would enforce ourselves. The house, the farm that we live on currently now is on a lake, and our guests do have access to that lake, and we haven't, in the 4 years that we've been running the business, had the kind of trouble that you explained. So
So what you're saying is you're not going to have like a playground or a picnic area or bonfires on the beach?
Well, you know, that lake access is also where I personally will be using, enjoying the lake. So I will probably have an area near the lake where we can have a picnic or maybe a bonfire.
But it's not a picnic area, you know, picnic table, a gazebo, anything like that?
I mean, without looking at the site plan, it's hard to say. Again, this is a shared space that we're going to be using as our personal residence as well as sharing with guests. And so, you know, I wouldn't want to limit myself to not being able to use my own lakefront by not being able to put a picnic table at the lake, for example. So the intent and the spirit of this is to, you know, kind of create a peaceful, you know, retreat.
I'm just thinking if you sold it, then John Q. Public could come and go, okay, here comes a plastic thing for kids to play on and a couple of swings and a bonfire area and a gazebo, and because that language is in there.
Right, well, I mean,
It's not consistent with the plan they submitted to us, so to a certain extent, it is limited, but to another extent, it allows for people who live on the property to actually use it. Like
Well, yeah,
as far
that's
as
not
the
my
gazebo,
problem.
The gazebo's not on that site plan they submitted. If they want a gazebo, they gotta get with the program and change it.
To follow up on Terry's, and it was reminiscent of the conversation we had about a year and a half ago on one of the lakes where people were complaining about transients coming in and using property for bonfires and picnics and parties, and we went through that whole thing. And this is very reminiscent of that, and I'm a little concerned about that as well. I mean, we addressed it in one situation, now we're faced with the possibility of having it
That
again.
was addressed it for every parcel in the township, though. This is one parcel it's the magnitude of this is way bigger than all the individual small lake parcels we were talking about.
This is private property too. It's
Right.
not a subdivision where
Right.
you could have
Well, so
public
is,
drive in and go to the beach.
but so is the other private property
Yeah.
too.
Vacant lands without people living on it.
Right, that's
right.
right, that was
Huge
vacant
difference.
lands, that's different.
Wouldn't fall into the lake access part of the ordinance because there will be a principal residence on the site and people will live there.
Right.
If the issues that we dealt with before, Bob, was the fact that people were setting up.
They were not living there,
stuff,
Right.
There was no house on it.
Airbnb.
coming for the weekend.
Well, some of them were there was homes there, and people were
those
getting
Airbnb
permission,
things.
yeah, for like the weekend.
But
or-
but the property owner was not there at the time the
Right.
runners were there. That's a major difference.
Doesn't mean we shouldn't revisit that part of the ordinance.
How
A
does this?
big can of worms there, Bill.
Forget it.
That's what I'm
Okay.
here for.
Do you have a question, Don?
No, I'm okay.
Jason?
If I might, I can respond
No.
to your kennel question.
Sure.
Okay, under the current ordinance, kennels, commercial kennels, which is more what you're referring to, being enough animals to run a hunt club, Currently on a RE zone district, it's a conditional use. Like a special land use, you'd have to get planning commission approval to do that. So if you flip back over to the recreational use, if you look at the paper that you were reading that out of, it's
Which
under
one?
the section in the book that requires special use permits or special use approvals. So if they wanted a hunt club or a polo club, they couldn't just arbitrarily go do it. They would have to come back to the planning commission to get a special land use to do that. I hope that answers your question.
So if,
Oh, yeah.
if that condition was not in here, would they still be able to come back and do that because it's in our ordinance?
They could request a revision to their conditional land use, they could. But they wouldn't just be able to do that, but they still can't just be able to do that because the conditional approval doesn't give them any special land use approvals. They still gotta go through that process to get them approved. They're gonna have to go through the special land use process to get these cabins. So,
If I can ask a question of the board, how many people actually got a copy of all the paperwork in reference to this?
Email.
Email.
I think she emailed them.
Yeah, right.
I
but
re-looked at it.
Did you
No.
copy it? And
We didn't copy the
so you haven't had a
entirety
chance?
of the email.
Not everybody's had a chance to read it all the way through
Correct.
everything.
I've read
I mean,
everything
I've-
that was sent, so.
I mean,
I just didn't
I would
recall
make a
the
recommendation, since not everybody's read it, that we table it until everybody's had a chance to read it until next meeting. Rather than taking action on a first reading, table it, so everybody has an opportunity to read it over and look at all the questions that you might have. I mean, I've had a ton of questions, and
You have more questions?
I still have more
But you
questions.
own horses.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I've
you
read
should,
everything
this
that
is,
they
this
have
is when you
concerns
should
that are
ask your
different.
questions.
But
about
not
it.
everybody here has had a chance to read the whole thing through, though.
I read it.
Uncle Roth and Clark.
I think down here they're saying they
I
did
don't
read
have
it.
an issue.
yeah, I
But-
don't have
But go ahead and ask you the rest of your questions.
Hold on. Now they're all out of sequence again.
Yes.
The length of the property from the road to the lake is a half mile. The house is in the middle. So it would be a quarter of a mile to the lake as far as the sewer and all that drainage stuff.
Okay, what about side to side?
Side to side,
you'll have to meet the required setbacks.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just wondering how big the property is.
up in the front of the property towards the road.
It's on that plan. That big one.
This one?
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
dimensions.
There's one or two houses that are even.
I read all this, because I remember
Yeah,
seeing
right.
pictures.
I don't see where it gives a
Camp
dimension of
in
it.
Halem, right? Oh, it's next door.
It's all scaled, the plan.
Yeah, I read all that.
I don't see a road-wide dimension, the width of the road.
That's
I
what
don't
she
see
gave
that.
us.
Yeah, and I read that. I read that. That was sent to chief. Is there any-
One of the other pages.
No, well.
I think these are all the same. These are all the same.
Yes. And that little one there is just a reduced copy of what you have.
Right.
So, you'd know the width of your own property, right? Along
975 feet wide,
975? Okay, thanks.
and it's short of 10 feet, it's a half mile long.
Okay.
From Greenview
The one you serve on?
to the lake.
Nope.
And we're offering to do a 50-foot green
I
belt
I see that,
on both
yeah.
sides.
I didn't know.
I apologize to all the people in the,
Yeah, I've read all this.
in the booth out there, because I keep rattling the paper against the microphone.
No, I was looking through it before.
When I met Scott out there today, we also talked about the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's basically a two-lane right now.
it's a two-track.
Two-track, yeah.
Right, so what we tentatively have kind of had a conversation about, we're still revising the site plan, is to make it boulevard. So that way they don't take down all of the trees that are there on both sides of that private drive, or the private road
Right.
now, right? So a boulevard works even better for us, because that guarantees us a way in and a way out.
Right. So then they'd be moving it, the two-track, west of where it currently is?
No, the one would stay. Right there. Yeah, that would be.
Okay, so you'd just be adding another one.
Incoming,
All right.
is kind of what they're looking at right now. And then when it got down near where the house is, there'd be some kind of a cul-de-sac or a large turnaround area,
Okay.
which is not shown there.
Oh, all right.
And then a drive going back out to Granger Road, to the west of that tree line.
Okay. All right.
So how can, like, if we, because like Bill said tonight, they're just looking for approval for us to do this. How can we make sure that, like, that type of thing does take place before the final, like, how can we make sure all that's going to happen?
Have to come back for a site plan approval, and that then sets all the detailed information.
So we just need
How
somebody
get in
to
and
be-
out, fire department access.
Right, we just need to make
sewer
sure,
capabilities, setbacks, all of those things are in the normal process of a site plan approval.
I guess what I'm saying is then we need some notes here that, okay, this is what we are looking to make sure we see when the time comes, because if that's in 3 months, it could slip it could slip my mind that, oh yeah, we talked about, that Chief mentioned doing a boulevard. That's why I just wanna make
Well,
sure
the site plan
nothing's
is never
mentioned.
gonna come
It's
to
not
us.
gonna
That's
come
gonna
to
come
us.
to
It's not
Bill.
gonna come to
Planning commission.
Okay, so that's, how do we get that
This
back to
will
the
be
planning
something
commission?
you would get for a second reading as any rezoning would. But as far as the site plan approval and as far as the special
Yeah,
land
that's
use,
all.
that's strictly planning commission.
So how do we make sure that they get the notes of the idea, to make sure that that's all incorporated?
Their job. They would do it anyway, but if you would like that, we'll see that the minutes of your meeting this evening get transferred to them.
So when it comes to the planning commission, just like everything else comes, at that point, the site plan is approved or denied.
Right.
And I have input on that.
Okay,
And
so you're included at that time?
Absolutely,
Okay.
I'm included on all
He's already
of
been
those, anytime
included.
there's any kind of a development, no matter what it is, I get a copy, Bill and I
Okay.
have a chance to talk, I talk with my inspector, we talk about, hey, what about travel in, travel out, all that
Okay,
kind of.
I wasn't sure, I don't see all the details, so I wasn't
Yep,
sure how
nope.
that works. So I just want to make sure that things that you're mentioning tonight to us don't get missed later on.
And they
It's
do
more of a
public
multiple
input
step.
at the planning commission meeting as well, so if there's something that, you really want to make sure happens, you can write it down and send it, and they can read that at the meeting.
And I feel very confident that, the couple that is taking this on, are wanting it to be, something that they are gonna be able to stay there for the rest of their lives. 'Cause that seems to me-
Forever home.
Isn't that, that's how in the short little time that I had the conversation with Scott, that's exactly how I felt about it. Like this was, just short of their forever home, if you will.
There's a multi-step process when people apply for a site plan. Copies go immediately to the fire department, you HRC for engineering, and to Carlisle Workman for planning, as well as I do an overall review of all of that to make sure that everybody gets their say-so into it before it's ever even presented to the planning commission.
Okay.
And trust me, when they're done with it, they scrutinize it very, very well. So, and they have already.
What is your philosophy on pasture board?
Yes. Our horses live outside almost all the time. They each have their own assigned stall. They live in groups of about 3 or 4 in paddocks that are roughly 2 to 4 acres each. So we try to keep our horses as natural as possible. Some of them have harder jobs and need to be handled more and indoors a little bit more, but for the most part, they live outside all the time.
The only reason I ask is because you're allowing for 12 stalls.
Yeah.
And if you have pasture board, you can have more than 12 horses, so.
Oh, no, we do offer boarding. The people that board their horses with me are really friends of mine, and their horses are kind of in our program, so to speak. So we aren't advertising board And our board rates aren't, like $400 for pasture board and $650 for salt. We have one rate, and that horse is in our program, and that program is whatever that horse needs and whatever its job is relative to those experiences. And so we're not really, we do some boarding, but not much.
All right. Is your indoor arena going to have an observation room with a warming area?
And a
And a
those are so
bathroom?
expensive to build. Yes, it will have a bathroom because
So you'll
we
need
have-
a
yeah.
septic
Oh, yeah,
field
yeah,
for that as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
or tied into the other?
That's going to be up to the architects and to the building inspectors and everybody. I mean, we want to do what you're supposed to do, whatever that is. It will have a bathroom. We haven't actually finalized the design yet, so I'm not sure if it's going to have an observation room, but maybe observation area.
I'm concerned also about having a row of porta potties visible from the road.
I don't want a row of porta potties visible to me, and that barn is sited to be outside my back door, so, no.
And this isn't a private club, or it is a private club?
What do you mean by that?
You have to pay a membership to,
No.
so you're just paying board, basically.
Or you pay to have whatever experience
Whatever
is there.
event
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
offering,
yep.
okay. All right, you haven't answered that one. How many people would support the activities you have? Otherwise, you're gonna have, in other words, you're gonna have to have employees?
I have a trainer right now that works with me, and I do the work. Sometimes we have one other practitioner, depending on the theme of the event or whatever. So they're not real heavy duty, they're not real intensive. If we do actually have people mounted, that ratio is usually more like 1 to 2 or 1 to 1. But we don't do big group mounting, we don't do trail rides, we don't do.
How are you gonna get rid of the manure?
Well, with that, right now, and it's virtually the same size property that we're moving from. And we mostly drag, because our horses live outside, so we drag the pastures, and we don't have manure piles, we don't have dumpsters full of manure.
You don't
Scott
have-
likes to think that manure is gold, so he won't let us do
Yes.
anything but drag it into the pastures. So we don't have a lot of that problem.
With 12 stalls, that's why I'm asking. I figured.
Yeah.
We don't give it out.
But our horses aren't in at night usually. Like if we've like crazy weather or bad footing or whatever, we'll bring them in for the night and they'll be inside. But our routine is our horses eat and sleep outside. We feed them in the field. They live in the field. They have run-ins and shelters and.
Bill, this is more a question for you. How do we handle noise pollution? Say they have a big event and they have 50 people there, and all the people are whooping and hollering because somebody just did a really good job of brushing a horse. I mean, how do you...
It's exciting.
How do you... It's exciting.
It's very exciting.
Funny, I never get excited about it. How do you... Is there a decibel level that...
Have noise ordinance, so,
Is it a decibel level you go by?
it's more of, is it a nuisance to somebody? So it would be basically more on a complaint issue.
Okay.
In other words, if you're creating a noise that's a nuisance to somebody else, then unfortunately, the way the ordinance is written, I get to go out and make that determination.
Okay, if it happens on a weekend when you're not around, though, what do we do?
Oh, trust me, Craig knows how to get a hold of me. Got my phone number.
All right.
On a one-time basis, or if it happens on one of their events, just like it would if anybody else had an event, I would find out about it typically on a Monday, and I would address the issue.
Okay.
Now, I couldn't stop it for that day.
Right,
Can
right.
we work toward a resolution and make sure it doesn't happen in the future? You bet.
Okay.
And Rachel knows, I'm not bashful.
I do know this.
Okay, how do you anticipate
Scott
handling...
Scott knows it too, I'm not bashful.
How do you handle or anticipate handling additional pedestrian, equine, and vehicular traffic? We already, if you're not hauling in, it might not be an issue
Yeah.
for the vehicles. How are you gonna keep people off the road on their horses?
Horseback riding on Granger? Yeah, I mean, we don't do that.
Well,
We live
try
at
not to
Bird and
do
Glass
that.
right now.
I
Yeah.
try to do that with my people, and
Uh-huh.
they still wanna go to work, horseback
Yeah.
riding on the roads. It's just,
Well, so we'll build trails just inside of the interior of the property, and we'll have an indoor arena and an outdoor arena. So our practices right now is we usually do arena work, and we'll do some trail riding, but for long, like, let's go trail riding for hours, we'll just trailer to someplace and go do that where it's designed for that, yeah.
or I might suggest the high power wire easement. Goes forever. Get on that and it goes forever.
That's a good idea.
Trespassing, Bob.
That's
No,
private
it's not.
property, Bob.
Yes, you
No,
do.
it's not. Not if you lease it.
Oh,
You don't
see?
lease the whole amount.
I lease enough to say I lease it.
Breaking the law, Bob.
And you will be a resident at the facility.
As far as
Yes,
on-site
yeah,
traffic,
we're gonna live in that lot.
Okay.
HRC has responded because they were sent this. And HRC said the use that is proposed actually has less traffic than if it was any other type of a development,
Okay.
even with the 50 possible occupants. So they don't see that there's an increase in not only the road traffic, but the site traffic.
Should be your HRC reporting, I think.
Okay, I think that's all my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, and no one else had any more questions, right?
thank you, Bill.
No.
Can we ask them why they're moving?
Pardon me?
Can we ask them why they want to move?
Why they want to move?
Yeah, I was just curious.
Well, yeah, but she already sat down. But, oh, I could tell you, because she already told me.
Oh,
Because
okay.
they're leasing there. Here, they'll be owners.
Okay. I was just curious why you wanted to move.
Oh, yeah, so we don't own the property we're on right now.
Okay.
We want to own something and stay there.
No, that makes sense. I was just curious, so.
Okay, should we have some discussion, or do we want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion as presented.
You make the motion?
I'll support.
And I have a motion by trustee Rumble, and it is seconded by trustee Allen, and that's to accept for introduction, first reading, an application for an ordinance amendment to rezone and change the zoning map for parcel 0321100004, which is 2370 Granger Road, from RE Rural Estate to a conditional recreation per the attached rezoning documents that were submitted with the application. Discussion?
One more.
Yes.
So Bill, just to be certain, so I have this nailed down. All the restrictions they've imposed on themselves, if they sell the property, they move, it goes with the property.
Correct.
Correct, okay. So, any changes to what we have right here would be after the approval, so therefore those changes would also go with the property.
It would, I'm sorry, say that again.
So, what we're approving right now is first reading.
Right.
For exactly the way they presented it here.
Correct.
Yes.
So if they come back with some changes, like Chief Quapas's, boulevard thing. Okay, so,
But that's not a change to, that's a change to the site plan, but it's not a change to the use of
To
the
the
property,
use,
which
right.
is from RE to REC.
okay.
That's what I was
it's a
asking
little
earlier, Bob, of making
confusing.
sure like the boulevard idea doesn't get missed. And that's why when Chief then said later on, he is involved in all that. So he's already got his notes, so he knows when that comes up. That's why I was asking that, because it doesn't come back
I just
to
don't want
us.
to be holding the bag if
But-
if
but
things
here's
don't
the-
work out.
Here's the thing though, Bob, as I submitted earlier, a conditional rezoning is only things that the voluntary offering from the applicant. Because the chief and them had a conversation out there today, which had a really good idea and you like it. I think we can achieve that through the site plan process, but it really can't be attached to this rezoning request.
Because it's not part of zoning, it's part of the site plan.
Right.
Right.
Okay, I'm still not feeling very easy about this.
Well,
Okay.
the chief, as we've said to you, okay, here, just one more time, I'll repeat it. They have to go through a site plan
Right, I
process.
get that.
And the chief, HRC, Carlisle Wortman, and myself are involved in it, so I'm highly suspect that this boulevard's gonna be there when this is all said and done,
Okay.
okay?
Still doesn't make me feel any better.
And that's not like what we're really approving. What we're approving is the use,
Right,
not
I get
the
it, I get
plans
it.
of all of the.
Yeah, they gotta go through this whole thing again with the planning commission
Right.
on the site plan approval, which is gonna have to do with property access, setback of buildings. I mean, the
And then
whole,
we have the final approval on that as well.
huh?
When it goes back, you say that has to go back to the planning
Planning
commission.
commission, they have final say. But
It
they
doesn't
also-
come back to us
Nope. Well, I take that back. It will come back to you at the next meeting
for the
for your
second
second
reading.
reading.
Right, for second reading.
But your approval at this point in time will be done with this process. Now it goes back to the planning commission, and it'll be strictly their approvals they'll need to get. Special land use and site plan approval. But we will make sure it's in there.
meeting, Bob.
Yeah.
Bob, it's just like when a store goes in, we don't get final approval of what Dollar General looked
No,
like
I-
or all that type of stuff.
I
So it's
get
kind of the
that.
same thing. They just needed a zoning change, so we needed to
I get
approve
that.
that.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment. I think this is a good use of the property, and I'm okay with everything except for having the hunt club with the raising and boarding of dogs. I just don't want to see a future owner come in and say, hey, I want to have a hunt club, and in,
It's zoned that
in
way.
this, it's zoned for the hunt club, and so therefore, that's what I want to do with it. I don't mind boarding kennel according to how our ordinance is. It's just, all I can imagine is all that barking from the dogs of a
Hunt
hunt club.
clubs and polo clubs are a special land use under the recreation. They couldn't just arbitrarily do it.
So the
And
new
neither
guys
can
would have
any
to come
future
in?
landowner arbitrarily do it. They have to come and get a special land use to
Gotcha.
have that type of facility.
But when they come to get the special land use, if it's already in here, then it will be easier for them to get a use for that as opposed to it not being in here, wouldn't
The
you
use
think?
of having that is okay, but they still have to get all the provisions for having that approved under a special land use. And actually, there is more ability for the township to restrict and govern things through a special land use than there is just under the zoning. That's why it's actually in a special land use group. If it was a permitted use and you could just do it, it's under the permitted use section. If it's those things that need to have a special attention paid to, or a use that you think needs more attention, then it goes through the special land use process. And public notice is given, so anybody nearby or the general public can show up at the planning commission meeting if somebody does that in the future.
So it shouldn't be a fear.
I don't believe so, but fear is in the mind of the person that has it, not me trying to tell them it's okay, we'll make it work, but I get that.
I agree with
understand
Kathy.
that.
I think it's a great idea. I think it would be a nice thing.
I think it's an asset
I
to the
just
community.
have
but
some worries. I
Yeah.
have some worries.
Any development will bring worries with it, Bob, and there's no mistake there, but sometimes.
I'm not a risk taker.
So, again, Kathy, the next owner has to follow the same procedures as will the current.
Well, on the flip side too, anyone wanting to have a hunt club would want a place to hunt their dogs, and if you're restricted to 57 acres, that's not gonna be enough.
Probably wouldn't work real well.
I would think so, yeah.
Does that help? Does that answer your question or concern?
So you're gonna parade them around in circles.
Could be a time trial.
We'll call for the vote.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and do a roll call, please.
Rumble,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Darnell,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Cordella,
Yes.
Marshall,
The lone voice in the woods. No.
Thurman.
Yes. Motion carries. So we'll have this come back at our next meeting. Okay. Final approval.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Don't forget yours.
I don't know why she said that.
Who's what?
They understood that it has to go through 2 readings. Kathy?
Yes.
I just want to make sure they
You're
knew
gonna
that
have
it
the
had to go
salaries
through
back.
2 readings.
Those are nice, but they're kind of big, you know.
Faye, do you want to
Really
make your way
handy,
up?
thank you. You know
All
what?
right.
You know what?
Next.
Would you like
We're
to
not
keep a copy
rushing.
in your office? Of that big one?
They've got it in the building.
We've got it
Oh,
in the building.
okay, very good. I didn't know that.
We're good.
Okay, good.
All right, next on our agenda is the senior center lighting project, and prior to the meeting, you were given copies of the estimates. So there are 3 estimates. And Faye, if you'd like to speak to the estimates, please.
So I contacted like 5 or 6 different electricians, and these were the only 3 that contacted me back. Unfortunately, only one of them gave me what I asked for.
Oh, gee.
And I'm just like, okay. So initially I asked for a standalone lamppost out by the sidewalk that leads from the east parking lot down to Ball Street. And 2 double dusk to dawn lights on the east side of the building to shine out into the parking lot, because the lighting is bad. We've had one of our seniors fall at night, and of course she didn't tell me for like a week and a half later, you know. And then another double dusk to dawn light over on the west side shining into the west parking lot. We already have 2 double dusk to dawn lights that are on the Ball Street side that shine out onto that sidewalk, so that's good. Initially, that's what I'd asked for, and then when the second guy got there the next day after the first one, when Hush Electric got there on the second day, he said that he believes that the 3 poles, one down by the sidewalk, one that is literally going up the side of the building, on the north side of the building, and then the one on the north side of the building behind the dumpster, all you would have to do would change the light bulb to an LED light bulb. And so I checked with Kathy, and she said they do not belong to DTE. So I immediately emailed the first gentleman and revised my request and said, could you please, you know, instead of the standalone, could you just include changing the bulbs in these 3 lampposts? And it took him 2 weeks to get the estimate back to me, and he didn't do it right. He did not include that. He just included the standalone. Then the other gentleman, Jackson, he insists that they do not belong to us, the lampposts, that they belong to DTE, so he will not quote changing the light bulbs. And I'm like, okay. So my recommendation is for Hush Electric. It's in the amount of $3802 plus the cost of the permit. That includes the 2 double dusk to dawn lights on the east side of the building, 1 on the west side, and then changing the bulbs to LED bulbs in the 3 lamp posts.
The ones that are already there.
Yes.
Hey, I should have asked you this before. How are we paying for this? Where's the money going to come from? Is it in your cost center for the senior center, or?
I don't know.
That's why I should have talked to you earlier. And we don't have our financial report here, so it's like we can't quick look for.
That was my question, was where is it coming from, or is it coming from the funds from CBDG, or?
Well, I believe that our 2017 program money for CDBG, we can purchase lighting with that fund.
Okay.
Plus windows and doors. It won't be enough to cover all of it, but it's a start. So I can check into that for sure.
And they will be able to use those funds for this year?
Yes.
Okay.
But you
Yeah, I
said
have-
that's not enough?
No, it wouldn't be enough for the windows and
No, the
doors
windows
and
and doors
lighting.
and
But if
Gotcha.
we spend whatever we need to on the lighting, whatever we have left, then we'll use for windows and doors.
Okay.
I think they were talking about a lighting project even before you were.
Yes,
clerk.
yes, way, yeah, back in 2012.
No, lights, I mean, I feel are very important,
Yeah.
especially.
And it is bad. I mean, if there's a night event and I go out at night, I click my car.
Right.
Because you can't see. I mean, yes, there's, some lights underneath the overhang,
Right.
but that's the porch. It doesn't go out to the parking lot.
Right, and you don't know if there's a crack or anything
Right.
like that. So, yeah, no, I'm good.
We have
I can
over,
make this motion.
But can we add where the money's coming from on the
Sure,
motion?
you can add the money. You can add where it's coming from.
It's gonna be paid for by with CDBG funds.
Okay.
I'll support it.
Lots of people walk at night, I can
It's-
see them.
Yep.
program year 2017.
2017.
Yes. We have 11,700 and some dollars sitting in the account.
Okay, cool.
All the better.
Okay, so do we have a motion on the table?
Yes, trustee DePalma, and who supported?
I did.
Okay.
Let's have a vote.
Well, wait a minute, I have to write this.
Come on.
It wasn't me.
Come on. man.
Okay,
You got
I have a
close second.
motion by trustee DePalma, and it is seconded by trustee Rumble to contract with Hush
Electric, yes.
Okay, Electric LLC for $3,802, plus the cost of the permit to install additional exterior lighting and LED lamps in existing lamppost, paid for with fiscal year 2017 CDBG funds. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. So that's it. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Allen,
Yes.
Darnell,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Cordella,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Fay.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda, we have a hiring of a part-time eligible administrative assistant for the treasurer.
Yep, it's that time again. We placed an ad in the newspaper, on our webpage, on Facebook pages, at the front window. We only got one application. But lucky for us, she's good. Bless her heart, she got the flu and she hasn't been there for a week, but I would definitely think that she would fit. We need to get somebody in there, as I'm not gonna be here after November, and we need to keep that sense of knowledge base in the office.
I'll make the motion as presented.
Support.
Thank you, sirs.
Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you doing a different kind of training with this employee than with the past 10 people?
Nope. We have an 85-page office book, and there are the both of us there with over 35 years of experience, walking down step by step.
5 pages.
Yep.
I just wanted to say that the other employees in the building know Carrie. Carrie used to be our janitor for a time, and she is very, very nice and easy to get along with, and everybody
Very
really
well
likes
liked.
her. Like, any other discussion? Nope. Okay, I have a motion by trustee Rumble, and it is seconded by trustee Marshall to hire Carrie Watts as part-time eligible administrative assistant to the treasurer, starting immediately for up to an average of 32 hours a week at the starting hourly pay rate of $13.72. And that's what's on our scale, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to call Lisa.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Darnell,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Cordella.
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. And now we can move to the fire department turnout gear.
All right, good evening again.
Let me just make your motion for you, Chief.
Okay, who'd like to second?
Support.
The fire authority in the village already said yes, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Any discussion?
No.
All right, I have a motion by trustee Rumble and a seconded by trustee Marshall to approve the purchase of 34 sets of turnout gear from Douglas Safety Systems for a total cost not to exceed $107,451 from E&H budget lines as stated on the sheet. Any discussion?
Nope.
Roll call, please.
DePalma,
Yes.
Cordella,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Darnell,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Thank you for staying here.
Sorry to make you stay so late, Chief.
Yeah. Took all the wind out of my.
I know you should have. You should
I know you
have.
really wanted to talk for 10 minutes.
I was gonna say, since he had to stay, you should have let him talk.
He didn't want to.
That's what he says.
We can talk later.
All right, no problem.
Okay, next on the agenda is the Studio Tyson agreement. This is a repeat from last year. No price increase.
I'll make the motion to
Second.
approve the Studio Tyson LLC invoice for $3,600 as presented.
That was seconded by
By trustee
Jason.
Rumble, okay. Any discussion? I have a motion by Clerk Allen, and it is seconded by trustee Rumble to approve the Studio Tyson LLC invoice for $3,600 as presented. And that's on the back side. Seeing no discussion, roll call, please.
Cordella,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Darnell,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. And now we are up to our MMRMA insurance renewal contract. So this says that we've been contracting with MMRMA since March 1st of 1999.
95.
Oh, 5, sorry. I think I need
Long
readers.
time ago.
So it's just still going up $1,800?
Yep.
I'll make the motion.
I'll support you.
You don't need to read all that.
How does that reimbursement portion work again?
They give us money back that we pay almost every year.
Some years
Because
it's been
we're
more than
Some
what
years
we
more
paid.
than we paid.
We're actually,
So if the money's not.
They give us
used,
our
then we
insurance
get
premium back.
we have a pooled account
that kind of
and
a
Chase
I need that kind of
Good enough.
insurance.
just all their
Just
dues
curious,
back.
Ben. Very good.
Okay,
Good enough. I'm good.
I made a motion somewhere. Didn't I?
It's right here at the bottom of the first page.
Oh, there it is.
Jason made it,
All right.
trustee Rumble made it, I seconded.
I have a motion by trustee Rumble and is seconded by trustee DePalma to approve the MMRMA renewal contract as presented and allow the supervisor to sign the contract as member representative. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Darnell,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Cordella,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. And that brings us to our closed session. So the closed session is on the cell tower legal opinion. So just so the audience knows, we will be moving out of this room to go to closed session and then reconvening. Feel free to go home. You don't have to stay.
If you've had a lot of fun so far, stick
Unless you want to
around.
stick around.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I got a hand for you folks to
Yes.
stand around.
Oh, and by the way, the last time we did this, we allowed the citizens to make a comment before we went into closed session. Do we want to do that?
Yeah, why don't
I
we
would
do that?
like to.
So,
So you don't have to stay.
Yeah, so you
is there
don't have to
anyone
stay.
here that would like to make a comment on anything? If there is, please step up to the podium to signify. I think they're getting ready to leave.
You're in the starting blocks. yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right, I see no comments, so we'll go ahead and continue with our meeting. So who would like to make a motion to move to closed
So
session?
moved. Second.
Oops, Marshall.
Here we go. I don't need to bring this piece of paper.
Have to find out. who's
Unfortunately, our recording secretary has to stay.
staying. Oh, Lena's staying.
So I have a motion to move to closed session for cell tower legal opinion, and that is by trustee Marshall, and it is seconded by trustee Cordella. And we need to do a roll call.
Rumble,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Darno,
Yes.
De Palma,
Yes.
Cordella.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. So we'll go ahead and move to close.